Hey guys, I happened to catch a brief video on MSNBC. There was a Florida state representative speaking about the mass shooting that took place in Jacksonville. She was speaking about Governor Desantis going down there. We know he's been, his actions taken on teaching AP African American history, the Don't Say Gay bill. You got teachers came talk about their significant others. I spoke with him before. When I was in the third grade, my teacher talked about his wife. He talked about vacation with his wife. This idea of why are you pushing yourself on our children, there's plenty of teachers that talked about their families when I was a kid. Plenty. I'm pretty sure that hasn't changed. That my wife was sick. My wife didn't feel too well this morning. My wife, I gotta go see about my wife's in the hospital. If that's okay, then why? I'm just making that. But when they make that point about pushing things on children, I know for myself, teachers talk about their home life, their children, their wives when I was a kid, their husbands when I was a kid. That happened. But the representative, was speaking about how Governor DeSantis had no right to be there speaking. People booed her. People booed him. And it hit me that for him, he looks at it as a crime. This is a crime. And that what needs to be done is more laws or something about the gun, or that he was probably a felon and he shouldn't have been out, or, there's something wrong with the legal society. There's something wrong with the judge, something wrong with the magistrate, something wrong with the people that adjudicate his case, something wrong with the parole board, something wrong with people put on probation. There's something wrong in the system to be fixed. Whereas for me, as well as for, I think, many of the African Americans, this is about hate. This is a product of hate. This is what happens when you, for 4 years, ramp up hatred. Populism, as I've said it before, is really about an 8-year-old making decisions. That's all it is. You're dealing with difficult situations with the simplest solutions possible. The mindset of a child. That's all this is. There's nothing beautiful or smart or cool about being a populist. Populism is about a society that has moved away from knowledge. It shows you, it used to be that violence was about a black person being in a white environment. Calling the police on the black men in the subway out there in Seattle, having them arrested. When we know they went to the restrooms at the subway, they were waiting for a business meeting. And before they were even told to leave, the manager had already called the police. That's what violence was about. It was about showing you as a black person, you ain't wanted. You're not appreciated here. And that this is about making you feel uncomfortable. And sometimes you go to jail. Killing black people in Jacksonville at a Dollar Tree, a Dollar General, or killing black people at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York. This is different. These aren't crimes. This is terrorism. Because what you're doing now, and I'm not justifying either one, but when you're talking about white areas, Meyer Park, South Park, Ballantyne, you're talking about areas where there aren't a lot of black people. Facts. And if you are black people there, they do a job, they're a janitor, they're a cashier, they're a police officer, they're doing construction work. They're not just going to the mall, and they're not going hanging out in Ballantyne just to hang out. But if you're saying, I want to go to a all-black church in Charleston and I'm looking for a junior senator, a black junior senator, where is he? I want to sit beside him. And he's out shooting. When you're talking about this, you're talking about terrorism. These aren't crimes. And all that legal stuff is as conservatives say, your gun laws are designed to make it where bad people have guns, good people have to jump through hoops to get them, to carry them or to use them, jump through hoops to do it. That's what you're doing here. You're looking at people who are willing to die. And they're willing to go to prison, and they're willing to face the consequences of murder, of mass murder, to do it. DeSantis, I don't know, maybe he doesn't think this way, but best possible case. is that he thinks we can fix this or we can tamp this down. Also, is that they talk about how black people are saying everything's racist, and you have people going to black communities and killing black people. Well, that's evidence of racism. If I'm telling you the boat is flooding, we're on a boat and it's flooding, and we go down in the bottom and there's water pooling in, that's evidence, right? You don't have to like me, but that's evidence. So he's getting rid of black history. He's doing things to black people. He's erasing all this black stuff. He's telling you, oh, we're not talking about that stuff. While there's violence going on, he has to speak because we're seeing why it's important to remember black history. We're seeing why it's important to understand the struggle of civil rights. We're seeing, remembering Cheney and Goodman. We're seeing, the other gentleman, his name's mine. We're remembering the violence, people that were disappeared in the South during that time, the Freedom Riders. I think that for conservatives, there's always a great forgetting with history, because to have conservatism, you have to constantly be moving. You have to constantly move the goalposts and constantly, engage in distraction and deflection and changing, moving it over to the window. And you have to constantly, you can't go off what you said 5 minutes ago. You can't. I said it about Joe Biden's son. Where's the laptop at? Where the dirty pictures at? Been over a year. Where all the dirty pictures at? Where all the stuff we talking about at? You get him on some gun charges. As I said, to me, for him it's illegal, and it's not that these are signs of something that's growing in America, something that's very ugly, something that's very dangerous, something that was let loose during Trump, something that we all knew was wrong, things that we always knew were not to be accepted are being let loose, and speeches and things on paper won't change the direction this country is going. Desantis 110% influences some of this stuff. Trump 110% has influenced things. I mean, the Tree of Life shooter in Pittsburgh. I'll never forget that. Where the guy said that he felt Trump didn't go far enough. When you use, there was a Lord of the Rings, the ring or whatever. They were going to use the ring of evil for good. You can't do that. You can't use evil for good. You can't do it. When you open things up, you can't control it, and that's what happens when you open this up of I'm going to reveal all these bad people and all this stuff. When you do this, this is what happens. Pizzagate. And this is what happens. You have the guy that went in New York in a pizzeria with a gun. Where's the basement? With a gun telling people that. This is what happens. It's dangerous. And you sold the country out. And DeSantis is doing the same thing with his state. You sold your constituents out just to get a bunch of angry white people, hopped up and give them the freedom to hate. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous time. I remember the one in Kroger. I remember the one in Kentucky. The guy was in a Kroger. I think he shot 2 black people dead in a parking lot, and white dude pulled his gun. They had a gunfight, and he said white men don't shoot or something. That stuck with me. That stuck with me, and it makes you wonder about how many acts of violence that just we don't hear about or just didn't happen for whatever reason. Thanks for listening.